All right, Banjo, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So we were just talking very briefly before we started, but I feel like you have a very interesting story. I know that you got started in bluegrass, right, with music?
I did.
How
Yes.
did that go? Talk me a little bit through about how you got started and growing up with that and how music was in your family versus to where you are now being a DJ and making electronic music.
Absolutely. Shoot. I started playing piano when I was like 8 or 9. My mom like just wanted me to play an instrument. I think that's pretty typical of parents. My mom like played cello. She's a painter, so she kind of had the art side. Um, it didn't really stick, and my piano teacher was like, "He's good," but like it just didn't stick, whatever. And then when I was 9, I saw Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder play on Good Morning America, and I was like, "Yo, whatever, banjo, I want to play that." And my parents looked up and they were like, we're not gonna buy you a new banjo. How about play guitar for a year? So I played guitar for a year and it never took. I never really liked it. She was trying to teach me music theory. I just wanted to play music, man. And after a year of that, I finally got a banjo for Christmas when I was like 10, and I just never put it down. And I carried it everywhere with me. I picked up guitar, mandolin, ukulele, dulcimer, a little bit, just kind of throughout the years playing. So like a high school band with some friends, and then like when I was 16, I started playing for like the local city for some Christmas shows and played for a couple of restaurants. I don't know. I never took music like seriously as like a job though. It was just like a fun hobby.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like a lot of people get started like in that similar kind of vein where it's like something you do for fun. And then later on, you kind of, I don't know if it's a realization moment or like the passion for it just grows to the point where you shift and you're like, let me see if I can do something with this.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that moment was for you?
Well, I music for me has always been like a very personal thing in terms of it's like how I process emotions. When I'm feeling
Hmm.
sad, I go listen to a certain song and it makes me feel better. Or if I'm happy, I'm gonna put on a different type of music. So like music's always been kind of I guess how I relate to emotions. And when I joined the Marine Corps, went to college for a little bit. I dropped out of college my junior year when COVID happened. I went and worked an engineering internship and was just like, it's COVID, the world was ending. We were trying to figure
Right.
out what was going on. I started playing guitar and singing for the first time in public, and like I went through a breakup at the time, so I was just sad, started playing. But like in that like personal kind of like connection I had with music, I started sharing that with people, and it kind of took off to the point where I'd say like it wasn't so much that I ever realized, just people told me I was good and said you should
Mhm.
do stuff more. So I mean, like I knew like I didn't suck at music, but um, I just didn't ever think like there's always someone better, man. I've jammed with some kids from Berkeley and like I've been
Yeah.
embarrassed by 12-year-old kids, man. There's some extreme talent out there. But like there's always also someone that's gonna be better than you, like everywhere you go. Like I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So I strive to like if I can't be the 1%, then like why do it? But like that's not the point of art. Art's taught me a lot as a person and just like the process and what you can get out of it.
I agree. And I think like for me, figuring out or like getting past that comparison kind of mindset was huge. Like not we all look up to people obviously, but like if you're like, "Oh, my track doesn't sound like A or B, it must not be as good." But like in reality, anything that you make is going to have your own flavor in it, if that makes sense. Like it's not all, if you want to make a song that sounds like X, Y, and Z, like you can try, but it's not going to sound exactly like that song. You know what I mean? You're going to put your own spin on it one way or the other. And like that's what makes art art. You know what I mean? Like it's not,
Absolutely.
I don't know, the whole comparison thing is a tricky slope. You know what I mean? Because we can get trapped in that. And then if you don't think your song is good enough, you're never going to put anything out.
Well, like what is good though, I guess in comparison. Like I know that we as musicians that create music, we think about good, but like really it's the people that are listening.
Absolutely.
I went to and studied under Victor Wooten. He's a like Grammy Award winning bass player.
Mhm.
He's phenomenal. He's like the world's best bass player. He travels with what's his name? Bella Fleck. That was Bella Fleck. He's like the world's best banjo player, and they played like music all over. So I went into Victor Wooten's. He like has this camp outside of Nashville in the woods, and I studied under him, his brothers, the couple that wrote like the soundtrack for all the Disney movies, like The Mermaid, Little Mermaid, and Pocahontas and all that. They were there. The lead singer of Chicago was there. There was just like a lot of Corey Wong's band. Corey Wong is like the head of jazz fusion right now. A lot of his band was there. There was just like some phenomenal world class musicians there, and it was so like interesting to hear them talk about like music, and we're like, wow, they're good, and they're like, we're good, but like we're only as good as like the people tell us we are. Like we know as the musician, the artist know it's good, but like also just does it sound good? Maybe you broke a rule.
Right.
Maybe you skipped a harmonic, but like does it sound good?
That's
But
jazz.
the what do they say, the right note at the or the wrong note at the right time
Hmm.
sometimes can be better.
Yeah.
Um, and John Mayer talks about like I can't remember what song. I think it was Your Body's a Wonderland. There was one song that like kind of like, he was famous but like blew him up. He hated the song. He
Yeah.
didn't want it released. It got leaked. And then he was mad it got leaked, and then his manager came to him 2 days later and was like, "John, the song is like about to put you on a headline tour. Why are you mad?" And he was like, "I just had to let go of my pride and realize like it's not always me." So like I don't know, like I think that like when we say what is good and we compare, our job as creators is to create, not so much as to like go, oh, I mean, like, of course, you have reference songs, you have things that you kind of maybe sounds you're chasing, but like,
Hmm.
I think a lot of famous musicians or artists have talked about how like you almost like you have the idea come to you, and like when you have a really good song that like comes and bangs out in 30 minutes, or like the idea you can
Yep.
get it out fast, and you feel like you're a conveyor of an idea. It's not even you writing it at that point, you're just conveying an idea. And it's funny, I'll like think of something sometimes, and then, a week or two will go by and I'll hear something on SoundCloud, with 100 likes. I'm like, he did something with the idea. But I don't think that like we all have unique, like I'm sure everyone has their little spin, but I think that, like ideas like kind of come to several people. I think they're like energy in a way. Like you can choose to act on it or not, but like somebody else is gonna like create that shit if you don't.
Absolutely. And you kind of, when we're creating, we get into flow state a lot of the time, or at least we try to. That's kind of the goal that I try to do, because that's when my ideas come out really quick, is when you're
Yeah,
just like vibing with it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that art is very subjective in the sense that like you could make something, you could love it, your neighbor might not like it, but then like, your buddy around the corner likes it. Like it's everybody's going to gravitate towards what they like. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And at the end of the day, I think, like you said, us as creatives is to make the art. Um, you mentioned a breakup. I think that's a great example of like when those creative emotional juices are flowing and when we sometimes make the best art. Because like for me, I'll go through something and then I'll be like, I need to make a song about this, or it inspires me to create. And then like maybe I'll have a few months where not much is going on, and those are the times where I feel not uninspired, but kind of just like I don't really have many ideas right now. You know what I mean?
yeah. I was talking to my therapist about this. I got diagnosed with bipolar.
Mm,
And the thing with bipolar is like you just, you're really sad, you're really happy. And she kind of explained it. She was I went and did this there was this Van Gogh exhibit. It was like an art exhibit, and it like projected Van Gogh's art and told a story. And like I really like I'm a musician. I love, reading about other musicians. I don't read a lot about like painters, artists.
mm, mm.
And I just really, really related to his story and like his struggle with emotions and how he translated that with music, and like you could see his struggle. I have a Van Gogh tattoo on my chest from that. Like
Nice.
that was like it was very inspirational. But afterwards, I got diagnosed with bipolar, and my therapist was like, there's a reason that a lot of artists have struggle with mental health. When you have, when your mom dies, when your dad dies, that's a, your child, that's a huge loss. But most people only have one mom, one dad, and they only deal with that once or twice. And that's people that have mental illnesses struggle and deal with those things multiple times throughout their life. So it's like a blessing and a curse, really. I think that like that's why there's a lot of artists that struggle with mental health, but also
Hmm.
you get to make some pretty cool, you know, shit from,
Absolutely.
from struggling.
I think that's a very good point. I think that we're so tapped in a lot of the time to what we're feeling because a lot of artists are very introspective and they kind of, in order to bring out that emotion, you got to be in tune with what you're feeling. So it kind of works together.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's a huge point, I think, because so many artists are that way and a lot of people do struggle. But I think we do make something beautiful out of that struggle a lot of the times. And sometimes, like, some people make art not from a place of struggle, but from a different emotion, whether it's like, celebrating life, celebrating where they're at, like, which is
Yeah.
a completely other side of the coin. You know what I mean? But I really do like that we're able to channel how we're feeling, whether it's happy or sad or whatever, into art and make something out of that. Because a lot of people, they just kind of sit with that feeling, and they don't have an outlet for it.
Yeah. I think that I tell people like, I think one of the really cool things about technology with DJing right now is, a lot of people are like, oh no, everyone's a DJ. I think that's cool. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
good for DJing. I think it's good for music. I think that not all art is meant to like when I go into a bar and when you go into a bar or we go to a venue and we're opening for someone or we're playing a set for, we're going there to entertain. We're going to set a room. We're going there to do a job. People that have a Flex 4 in the room just making goofy, they're just hitting key sync, beat sync, key sync. My girlfriend started DJing, her and her roommate, and like they were mixing like 130 and like 90 and just key sync,
Mm.
beat sync. And like I was like, you know what? It sounds good. You know what? Like, there are no rules when, in a way when you're creating art. It's like abstract art, abstract DJing.
100%.
Uh,
Like I had a conversation about that recently where like especially EDM as an example is can be so formulaic and everybody's trying to chase trends and like me personally I'm trying to break out of that in a way where we're subverting expectation and like doing something different because a lot of the time everybody is trying to chase one sound and is just sounding the same
can
all
we
the
talk
time.
about how EDM right now is just a remix? It's just all remixes and it all sounds the same. Like
Yep. Yep.
I need another like I need some original.
Right. Like that's why I stopped playing tech house because I was doing tech house for so long and like now it's just everything's been done. I feel like it all sounds the same. Everybody's trying to sound like
I
the
want to
top
go
two DJs.
I want to go back to like Matroda 2016, 20
Yep.
weird Matroda drops. Like I want to bring some of that. I think No Thanks is doing a really good job.
Yeah.
I have a new remix of Cocaine on My Blunts coming out this week.
Hmm.
It's unreleased right now. I have it, but it's like so fucking weird. I like weird house. I like weird like the weird deep underground Miami shit that's coming out right now. Let's say.
Yeah. Shout out no thanks. They're sick.
Yeah.
Recently I've been doing so I went from like tech house to more of a techno direction all the way up to like hard techno and now I'm blending that with like dubstep drops. So just like making weird like going from halftime drums to 4/4 drums to like a trap beat in between like just switching things up and that's so fun for me as a DJ because you're kind of able to throw in so much into your set.
Yeah.
Um it just I mean and I see the crowd reaction and that's what I like to do it for like I love just seeing people go crazy and like seeing the jaws drop when like something unexpected happens um but that kind of brings me back to DJing and your journey. How do you go from bluegrass and playing banjo and guitar and all these instruments to working on a laptop and like DJing?
Dude, it's been well yeah, so I started playing in that band and started playing after that breakup in college and after like 8 months I kind of played everywhere there was to play within an hour or two of me. And I moved to Athens, Georgia, where I'm based out of now. And I had DJ move in with me for like 2 months. I'd never really listened to house. I guess I listened to Avicii, back in the day, and like I'd been exposed to it, but I didn't like know. And then he moved in with me, and I was like, "What is this?" Groovy. I and bluegrass is like 120, 125. It's the same BPM as house music. And it wasn't until I went and saw Billy Strings and Don Breskin the same night, and I was like sitting there, I was like, oh, four on the floor, like this is the same. Because I think like EDM and jam bands kind of in a way like overlap
Hmm.
those crowds. So like feel like it's pretty similar, vibe and music. So yeah, he moved in with me. I inevitably bought a DJ board. You know, I started picking up a couple of bar gigs. I got the opportunity to open for some, bigger names here in Athens. I don't know, it just kind of you don't have to split the money with four guys too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge.
So, I went from like I wanted to make a living playing music, and when I was in a band, that was not the case. Um, and so when I started DJing, I was like, wait a second, I could actually make a living. Athens is like the most bars per square mile, I think, in the whole country.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places to play here, and party scene, frat scene's pretty heavy here. I just was like, wow, I think this is a market I can develop. So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of fell into it, man. I just picked up a lot of gigs. I was here for like 3 months, and then I get hit by a car on my motorcycle, and I broke both my arms. Had like 5 surgeries on my hands and fingers. I was gone for like 8 months, and when I came back to Athens, like I felt like I had like no motion. I'd come here, made a little bit, left, gotten hurt, had gone to my parents and recovered for 8 months. I came back and I just decided like I was gonna take as many gigs as I could and like just put my name out there. So the next year I did over 250 gigs. A
Wow.
year. I played like 4 days a week. Sometimes I played two, from like 8 to 2. I do like a
Mm,
private gig and then I go do a bar gig. Um, and like with, your 10,000 hours, I don't think I got quite 10,000 at the
mm.
time, but I got like five in. I
Yeah.
got a lot of hours in. I just met a lot of people. I saw that there was kind of like an underdeveloped market here for EDM. EDM was
Mm,
kind of getting popular. The frats were like booking disco lines, Noizu, Mile Per Hour. Those are pretty common names that you'll have, here at UGA. You'll hear on the weekend.
mm,
Uh, Shipwreck's been here a ton of times. So I was like, well, these kids love this. Why don't we do more EDM events at the bars? So I started a production company, did EDM events. I did all the breakaway pre-parties with my friends, that also, play and book for some of the bars. So yeah, I don't know. It was really me and a group of friends that like started playing as EDM kind of got popular over the last 2 or 3 years.
mm.
And, we just kind of started doing stuff. And now, I don't know, we're still doing stuff here.
That's awesome. Man, I mean, the grind for sure. I know all about it. I get it. You brought up a lot there, and I kind of want to break it down like piece by piece. So support slots. I know that you opened for Disco Lines, right, when he was in town.
Yeah, that was like one of the first times my homie and me opened up for him. It was the time.
How was that? With it being one of the first like sets, really?
Dude, I'd only been like DJing like 3 months. My
Hmm.
homie, my homie was like, come up here, come on, I'll put you on. And so yeah, we did that, and like he had Shipwreck with him. They played down the street, so they all came out. And dude, we like this is before he was big, big. Like Baby Girl had dropped, but like I mean, he wasn't playing Coachella yet.
Right.
Um, so we, hung out. We thought, we were the shit, hanging out, guys. And then the frat party ended at 11, and we were like, "Look, we're going downtown." And he
Mm.
was like, "Wait, why is everyone leaving?" And we were like, "We're going downtown. The party's over." So he came downtown with us. Um, he came downtown. We stayed downtown all night. It was a good time. Um, but yeah, that was like I think that was like early on. I had an inflated sense of where my career was when I
Mm.
first started. Because like I really thought that like you just had to open for a couple names and put your name on a flyer and yeah, let's go. I'm a DJ now. Um, I wasn't aware of like how much work it took, and like I wasn't even a producer at the time, so
Hmm.
that's been its own journey in and of itself. But yeah, I it was a great opportunity because I think it did give me that inflated sense of where my career was and like almost the ego and like I kind of ignorantly, blindly just applied myself. I think if I had known when I first started how much work or how many years it would take to be, where I want to be, I might not have undertaken. I might have been like what, like 8 years, like 7 years, 6 years. What? That's like
Hmm.
I don't know. So I'm glad I thought that was going to blow up overnight because, I might not have got started down the road. But once I did, I just kind of was like, I think really like last year I got a music mentor. He's on like the Insomniac circuit,
Mhm.
and he's been a great asset. He's been great in teaching me a lot, but he just kind of like was like, okay, well, these are the steps you need to take, to bring your career up to here. And I just kind of realized the amount of work I had to do, and like I was like, fine with that work. I'm fine to commit into the bit, for as long as it takes. But that's not at all the case of what I thought when I first started down this road.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like behind the scenes stuff too that like you people don't see online or like at the shows. But I feel like starting out as DJs or in any kind of creative field, I feel like a sense of being delusional helps you out a lot because if you
Does
think
yeah,
that you're gonna make it, like, because it's if we're being realistic, it's such a small percentage that actually like break that threshold. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
like having that sense of delusion of like, oh, I'm like it, you know what I mean, really helps you just have momentum and just get started. Because a lot of the time, that's the hardest part is just like putting one foot in front of the other, just getting started, getting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Um, and that sets back a lot of people because if they know like, oh, this is going to be like 10-year 15-year thing, it's harder to start because you're like, oh well, I'll just go do something else instead because it seems too daunting. um
I think that's truly why like the people that make it, like I heard this one time, don't you only, quit. You only don't make it when you quit. You
right.
only make it when you only don't make it when you give up. And I don't know, I'm not really a quitter. And like I think that you just genuinely have to love it that much. Cause like, man, there's been times where I've questioned, you work on holidays, you travel Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't have a lot of friends in terms of like I have a lot of industry friends, but like
Hmm.
traveling to a new city 3 days a week, it's a rough schedule. It wears out on you, and like the nightlife industry is not an easy industry to work in. It's definitely got its own pitfalls. Uh, so I think that you really have to be committed to the love of the game. Um,
Absolutely.
because dude, I've been broke. I've called my dad and been like, well, what am I doing? Should I go back to school? You know, uh, but I really think that like it comes down to just what you want. I think that like at the end of the day, it's America. You can make it happen if you hustle, if you just post on TikTok enough.
Absolutely. And like part of that is why I even started doing like conversations like this, not because I, want to gain anything out of it, but a lot of it is even just like talking to like catching up with friends, like people like you, just being able to have like a conversation here and there because like we're so busy.
Yeah.
And in producing specifically, I find myself like sitting in front of my laptop, just like in the studio all day. And I'm like, man, I haven't like spoken to anybody in
Yeah,
like
no,
the whole
yeah.
day. So like being able to carve out some time and just like reconnect with people and like build community and just be close to people because we're in the same industry. We know a lot of the same people. Like it's important. You got to keep these relationships fresh and like help each other out because I mean, I know we all have goals, but like it's
Yeah.
so much easier to get there as a team versus just on your own, just grinding away at it.
Think it's like the difference. It's like an abundance mentality. That's something one of my mentor preaches, an abundance mentality, and I really think that like there is enough money in music, there is enough opportunity. Now, do you have to create the opportunity sometimes? Absolutely, but like it's way easier to create opportunity with other people, and I think that just in general, like artists creating artists, it's not something that we do enough. I know that as a cross genre artist, I have a lot of different artist friends with a lot of different projects. And it's interesting because like I'll talk to some like DJs or producers that like think they're not musicians or they have nothing in common with my guitar playing or other people in a band, but like realistically we just sit in a room and be like, "Oh, you like these noises?" And maybe it's guitar making the noise, maybe it's a Moog or your MIDI, but like we all just like noises, man, and
Absolutely.
grooving. So I think that like um artists just in general, from all projects need to support each other. I'm a huge fan of supporting people that I like their project. I That's what I tell a lot of my kids that I mentor here in Athens.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, they how do you meet all these people? How do you know? Dude, I just tell people if I'm listening to SoundCloud and then we're going through and we're listening to music as DJs, finding new tracks. If I like somebody's music, I will go look them up on Instagram and I will send them a message and just be like, "Hey, I like your music, like a project, it's cool." And sometimes they don't reply, sometimes they do. Oftentimes I'll have a banging ass song and I'll go and see them on SoundCloud. You know, it's got, hella streams, lots of likes, and I'll go and they're like some producer that doesn't even DJ.
Yeah.
And that's like these are connections that you can be building and assets, you can be building, but again, you have to go create that opportunity. Nobody's gonna come, but we're not, none of us are famous. None of us have like, done anything to the point where people are coming like, hey bro, I want to collab with you. Like, not to say that like that's not something that can happen, but you got to make that happen. Those opportunities are going to come to you. You gotta go get them.
Absolutely. And I think like a lot of it is a sense of community. Like if you go at something from a friendship perspective, like, oh, I want to make music with my buddy and see where it goes, versus like reaching out to somebody online and being like, oh, this guy has, some motion. He's kind of popping off a little bit. Let me see what I can gain out of this, is the wrong, like, I don't know. It's a tricky situation because
Well, like,
like,
everything's about energy, right? Like you
mhm,
said, it's like you hit them up on what you can do for me. But like at the same time, this is the music business. So it's like kind of that fine line of like, you know, this is the music business. This is the business of I can't just give away all my time, assets, and knowledge for free.
mhm,
That must be reciprocal. But like, when I was hanging out with Disco Lines and Shipwreck that first time, I just was kind of like, they're boys, they're friends with
yeah.
each other. And then, I've worked with a lot of, artists or met a lot of people. These guys are friends. Like, they don't hit each other and go, hey, bro, I think that we should collab. It would be good. They go, hey, dude, like, you look like a mad chiller. Do you want to smoke a joint and, like, make some music? That's like 99% of the time how, like, these
Right.
interactions happen. So, yeah, no, 100%. Your network is your net worth. I definitely preach and harp to a lot of DJs that like um I think that everybody has something to offer other people. I know that like a lot of these kids are in fraternities. Like, dude, if you want to start getting gigs and you're in a fraternity, book one and some other guy at your fraternity and you go play his fraternity.
Hmm.
Leverage the momentum that kind of everybody has in the situation. Like, again, working together is going to get you way further than like, not working by yourself.
And creating the opportunity too, like if you're booking a headliner and then giving yourself support slots or your buddy support slots, that's a great way to get your foot in the door there as well and make that
Well, dude,
connection.
when I started my production company, I did a self-produced show here at the Livewire,
Hmm.
and I booked Tersey. I've been a
Yeah.
fan of the project from Florida, and I got like three of my friends to come open, and then I got one of my other friends to come from Clemson and do a B2B, and we were direct support. Like, I was at Chicago Music Nexus a couple weeks ago. Propa's sister like runs that with like Sherm. It's a really good informative like music conference. And I met a music intern that works with Adam with the Velo
Hmm.
project. And he knew me from booking Tersey. So like you never like he was telling me he had seen me do that like a year and a half ago, and he'd been just kind of on his radar since then. So like you never know who's watching. There's oftentimes a lot of times you're doing stuff and like these talent buyers, these people that are running these like if you're making motion and you're going and playing and you're just around long enough, people are gonna know your name.
Yep. I mean, and I feel like social media and the internet makes it look like such a big, vast open space, but really it's such a small network and a small
Oh
community.
yeah. No, it is. I mean, like I said, like that guy, knew me
Mm,
from booking, someone from Florida. And
yeah.
I knew who you were before I ever met you. Just like again, names, run small in the community. It's a big, I guess, playground, but it's a only a couple of toys on the playground, only a
Hmm.
couple of things on the playground.
Yeah. No, Terzi's sick. I'm on a bill with him next month. I'm super excited for that.
Oh, you're opening for
It's
Abstract.
Closing. So Terzi's
Or
direct
closing?
support, and I'm
Okay,
after Abstract. It's gonna be
sick.
sick. That's
Dude,
at
I'll be there.
Believe. Let's
I'll be there.
go. Have you been to Believe before?
I have. I've been there a
Let's
couple times.
go. Have you played there?
I have not. I've had a couple friends play there. They've been
Okay.
support for people, but I have not played there.
I'm gonna get you in touch with some people. That'd be sick. You would crush it there, dude. 100%.
So
Um, so okay, you let's see, what did we talk about? You got into DJing, the car accident, you got hit by a car.
yeah.
Were you producing at that point, or was it still just DJing and then
No, dude, I was saving at that time.
mm,
I didn't even think I was an artist. I was
mm,
trying to be good at guitar. I was trying to be good at banjo. I was trying to be good at DJing. I did not have an artist mentality, an artist mindset. I didn't have a vision, like a message that I wanted to like tell people. I just liked doing it and I liked how it made me feel. There's no better drug out there than playing in front of a crowd of people and they're singing along and they're dancing along and you got them like on a little puppet string. That's the best feeling in the world. So, um, when I had my accident and I got hit head on my
mm.
motorcycle by a car. So the doctors, like, my hands were pretty messed up. They were like, you will never play music again. That's what they told me.
How fast were
And
you guys going?
I was going 70. They hit me going the other way. So I don't know.
Jeez.
I flew like 400 feet. It was an ordeal. I was
Wow,
in
man.
ICU for a couple days. And then, like I said, I was in an arm cast for 8 months. Like
Hmm.
in the arm cast, had surgeries. I was out of commission. It was a very humbling experience. Um, but like I'd say it was the best and worst thing that ever happened to me. It made me want to be an artist. Like
Mm,
I realized that like my time here was not guaranteed, that like the fact that I was able to play music was a benefit. I could be a paraplegic. So it
yeah.
was just like it was a blessing that I was able to be an artist, be a musician. I realized like I can't waste the opportunity that I have. That I needed to apply myself more in a lot of ways. I didn't need to get blackout every gig and take for granted, the opportunity that I had. So I read this book by Victor Wooten actually. I knew who he was, but my uncle, he gave me this book and it's called The Spirit of Music. And it really talks about the difference between being an artist and a musician and what it means to be an artist. And that was like that book set me on like a personal life journey to be an artist. It changed me in a lot of ways, like how I lived my life. It was, yeah. So that's why I ended up going to Victor Wooten's camp, was I'd read that book during my
Mm,
recovery. And I kind of had to come to terms with I may be a musician, I may be an artist, but I may not be able to play music. And that doesn't make me any less of an artist. I just can't create music the same way by playing instruments. And I'd thought of the DJ board as an instrument always, kind of in a way. So I kind of like
interesting.
I came to terms with like thinking that I couldn't play music. So like maybe I had to write, maybe I had to like have a vision, maybe I had to tell a story. And
Hmm.
that was like when I started like kind of writing a little bit. I would say it like really took I started like producing like a year and a half ago. And
Okay.
I really started taking it seriously in like February of this year or of last year.
Gotcha.
So like almost a full year. Yeah, about a full year in Ableton, like pretty seriously.
Wow. Okay, so you get in the accident, you're recovering. I assume the gigs slow down at that point. You're just out of commission.
Dude, I couldn't do anything. Like I was living
Yeah.
with my parents, so I couldn't drive. I was in a
Mm,
double office, couldn't drive. I couldn't use the bathroom by myself. I couldn't
yeah.
shower. I couldn't feed myself.
Wow.
It was like a really, really, really long recovery. I again talked about ego and optimism. Man, I thought I'd be back playing gigs. I booked a gig like 4 months out, man. I was still I had to text them. I was like, yeah, I'm still,
I assume that's a very a moment of reflection too, because you're just sitting there, you can't really do much. Like you're just it's just you and your thoughts. You know what I mean? Um did you have
Yeah,
I mean, knowing that like, oh, maybe I'll never be able to like play an instrument, like who knows what I'm gonna be like when I get out of these casts.
dude, I went mental.
Yeah.
I went mental. Um I had when I started, I was in the Marine Corps. I didn't even smoke weed till I was like 22, 23.
Mm,
Till I got out of the Marine Corps. And then I smoked weed. I didn't ever like do anything else. And then when I started DJing and I moved to Athens that summer, I really fell into the bag, if you know what I mean. It's just everywhere. It's downtown.
Hmm.
And I kind of like got a little normalized. And when I remember when I went home and I was like, I'm the oldest of seven kids. So I moved back home. All my siblings were there. You know, my nice, pristine family's eating dinner at 6 p.m. And I was like thinking, man, I'd be like 10 O-bombs in right now. And I just kind of realized that probably wasn't normal. That probably wasn't healthy. That wasn't good. But at the same time, I didn't have a lot of healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with my emotions. As an
Mm,
artist, the only way I dealt with my emotions was drinking or playing music.
mm,
And I couldn't play music. So I, still during my recovery, um, even though I was hit and broke like 9 bones, I was not prescribed any painkillers because this was during the opioid epidemic that was going on. So I
mm.
got like 3,000 milligrams of ibuprofen. Well, I found Percocet. I was like, I like this hurts, man.
Yeah.
So, but like within like 2 or 3 weeks, man, I like had to go to my dad. I was like, so that's not a good idea. I get what they're talking about. Like I was just incredibly sad. It was like, so I don't know. It took me my recovery process took me a couple of different things and like a long kind of road to dealing with my being able to deal with my emotions helpfully,
Mm,
not doing substances and or even I'd say like DJing or like playing music is a drug. It releases dopamine and like I said, it's the best drug. Like, man, I've been sober and gone and played a show and it was just lit. And then I get back and I can't sleep because of the dopamine rush. Um, and so I don't know. This was something particular to me that during my recovery I had to like start to learn how to cope and manage with my um emotions in a healthy manner. And honestly, like I was going down this journey as an artist for the first time, and like that's how I found a way to like I guess deal with those and my diagnosis with my mental health and like it was to be a better artist. And I think that the way you live your life is like the art you create is a reflection of the way you live your life. So it for the first time it was like why I started taking care of myself as a person because I was like well, if I don't take care of myself, then I'm not going to make good art. And it kind of made sense to me because I love art so much and music. It was like this motivating thing to like take care of myself in a way I'd never had before. My health became a priority. I went on a
mm.
diet. I started hitting the gym again every day. I became very much more conscious of like my mental health and taking care of it and being proactive and like in the same way you take care of your body, you have to take care of your mind, and your soul. And
Absolutely.
so that was just something that I hadn't done. And I think that when you don't do that, you fall into emotional dysregulation and everything, and you have to use substances or something to balance out in your life when you don't take care of those things. So for me, my recovery was like my journey as an artist, becoming a better person and being a better artist, making better art.
I love that, dude. That's huge. Like you brought up so many good points there. I think in nightlife, especially in what we do for work, it's so normalized to just, oh, here's a drink, or like, we're around a lot of extracurricular activities as well, some party favors, and it's it's very normalized in the scene in the community. Me, for example, I'm sober now. I haven't drank in a few years, and
Me too.
it was a similar thing. Like I mean, I wasn't getting that crazy, but like I'd have a few drinks during a set, but then you're playing 4 nights out of the week. You're drinking all those nights.
4
It's
days a
harder
week,
to
yeah,
recover
yeah.
late nights. And then it got to a point where I was like, if I took this away, this element out of the equation, if I took it away, how much more would I be able to apply myself to my work and my craft? And
And
so,
you don't feel bad. You're just
mhm.
happier.
Absolutely. And like I started going to the gym, like just being outside as much as I can because I was like, okay, if I'm locked into my laptop like 95% of the time in a dark room, like I'm not getting sunlight. So like going to the gym, going on walks, eating good food is so important to me and like I don't know. I can't really think of a time. I can't think back to like how I was before I was doing that. You know what I mean? Because it's so much better now and healthier for you.
Yeah, for sure. It
So that's huge, man. Like, I mean, that's a crazy part of your story. Where do we what's the timeline? So you recover, you start doing gigs again, and then I know you went to audio school, audio engineering, and picked up production. How do we get from the accident to there?
yeah, so the accident, I guess that was 2022. So I
Mm,
came back in summer of 2023. Started to like really hit at home. August 2023 was when I hit music back full time. Um, and then when I got my music mentor in March, I was like, I need to bring, my resume up. I need to bring kind of my career level up. Um, I started looking at like skills that I could add and learn, and like I was teaching myself Ableton, but I'm a banjo player. I'm the antithesis of a DJ. I played all acoustic instruments. I didn't ever deal with technology, current levels, any of that until I started DJing and like was like, what? There's different wires, you know. Yeah, I didn't know. When I first started DJing, I didn't know you couldn't rip stuff off SoundCloud. I didn't know it. It was different. I didn't know what the file size. I was very I had to get caught up on a lot
mm,
in terms of music and technology. That's been like, I'd say my biggest like thing that I've struggled with being a DJ. Um, but I started learning Ableton, but like, dude, it's just it's able not. It's it's definitely hard. It's a steep learning curve. There was as much as I was in it, like 10 hours a day, I just didn't wasn't making the progress. So I lived here in Athens. I knew some people that had gone to Tweed Recording. I know people that have recorded music there. They've all said great things. I did some research on the program online. I talked to you, about it before I went. And yeah, like I said, I just figure, screw it, why not? Um, Let me try this. What's the worst that can happen?
mhm,
I hate it. It's music. And so I started going there, and very quickly, like I realized like it did not have anything to do with music.
mm,
We learned electrical engineering, voltage levels, signal flow, acoustics, building paneling, building studios, running, signals, wiring stuff. Um, I learned how to, run stuff in a commercial studio in terms of the signal flow from taking it out there in the studio, running it through your, various compressors or whatever you're going to run it through, back to the board, into the DAW. And I was at the time, I was playing music for a living. I still have bills. I'm still a person. So I was DJing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I figured if I went to school, this was like an associate's program in like 4.5 months. And
mm,
they were like, they all said it's very intense. Don't have a girlfriend. That's literally what they said. Like, don't have a girlfriend. You're going to be here living here.
mm.
So I went to school for 40 hours a week. Then I also studied 20 hours a week. I played 2 nights a week. And I had also started my production company booking for 3 bars here in Athens, booking talent. That's all
Nice.
that's right. So it was maybe at first I didn't set myself up for success. I wasn't happy and it was a lot. I probably did put too much on my plate. I was still traveling on the weekend
Mm,
and in school. And I really also did not like I'm a musician. I wanted to learn how to make music. And the same way when I like went to go learn guitar and she tried to teach me music theory and I learned 2 songs all year. She was trying to teach me the process behind it and like I play by ear. I want to learn how after. I know or I want to learn how to do it. Tell me why it works after. I want to know how to do it. I just want to fly. Let me play. And that was very much the opposite. Like there was no, I mean, you're not even making music. You have no opinion. You were there to do what the customer says and to make the noise the way they want it.
mhm,
And that's a super great skill. And I thought when I went into it that I loved music enough that I could do that. that it would just be music related and I would like that.
Yeah.
And what I found out when I was there was that's not the case. It was killing me every day to sit there for 12, 14 hours a day and not work on my music. And I had to completely stop working in Ableton. I had to quit, DJing as much as I was, doing
Mm.
what I was in my production company. It was just like I felt like a step backward. And the president sat me down 6 weeks in, um, and he said, "Look." He said, I went through and looked at your socials from the last 2 years. He's like, you post a lot. He said, you've never once talked about being the audio engineer. You never talked about audio engineering. You
Hmm.
talk about your sobriety. You talk about believing in yourself. You've talked about DJing, about getting gigs, about who you've opened for, about writing music, but you've not once talked about this. He was like, I see what you're doing. You're a performer, you're an entertainer, you're a musician, you're a creator. You're not an engineer. So he said, you can learn. Yes, you can pay me this X amount of money and learn in the next 2.5 months. But you could also not pay me and learn all this on YouTube in 2 years.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you that. So okay, that's crazy that you had that conversation with him and that he noticed that. He picked up on that. That's like a lot of people wouldn't even bother. They would just be like, this dude's paying me, like let him rake in the tuition. Oh, you get a degree? It's not what you want? Sorry. But like the fact that you had that conversation and he recognized you for what you were trying to do is massive.
Dude, shout out Tweed Recording. Like I said, great people, great, studio. I've heard nothing but good things. And
Mm.
even though it didn't work out, like it worked out for the best for me. And like I appreciate everything. I did learn a lot there. I learned a whole
Hmm.
lot. It definitely like gave me a foundation um in terms of like signal flow, basic, um I guess systems with
Hmm.
recording and everything like that. It was good and I don't regret it. But also, like John Mayer says, in the music business, sometimes it's you just got to figure out what you got to try and stuff to figure out you don't like it.
Yeah, and I know before you enrolled, we had a conversation because you knew that I went to music school. I went to Full Sail. It was a little bit different because mine was a music production program. So you are like in the DAW, you learn Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton, all this stuff. Um, but like, and you were asking me, because I knew what you wanted to get into, and I was giving you my perspective on Full Sail. And Tweed I have no experience with, but from what you were telling me, I kind of had an idea that like you could learn a lot of cool stuff, but it was more studio related versus
It
like
was,
production
yeah,
related,
yeah.
which isn't a bad thing. It's just like it's what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Um, so it's like it. I was gonna ask about YouTube because we've both been through music school.
I
I
mean,
have,
dude, yeah, there's some good stuff on YouTube. It's
yeah,
okay. Also, there's a lot of fucking stupid shit. Sorry for cussing,
yeah.
but
No, you're
there's a
good.
lot. There's a lot of dumb advice on YouTube. Like my mentor has asked me a couple times, like, "Why are you doing this?" I was like, "I don't know. I saw it on YouTube." He was like, I'd say the biggest asset that's been to me is Patreon, dude. Like instead of going on, looking at this video that's got a million views, but like that guy's music's not getting listened to,
Hmm.
go to your favorite DJ, and I promise you, your favorite DJ has a Patreon or is a Bandcamp, and like, dude, Noetica's got these crazy, like, he's got these crazy songs for masterclass, and it's like an hour and a half long,
Yep.
and I have too much ADHD. I can't sit through one video at all one time. Um, but there's other, Virtual Riot goes
Hmm.
crazy with the sound. I don't even understand what he's talking about. But there's other people and there's a lot of assets that you can get, whether they're racks or
Hmm.
Ableton templates. A lot of these guys, when you subscribe to their Patreon, um, the money goes to first of all to the artist. You're putting your money in someone you support, and like a lot of times will give you project feedback, and you're
Yeah,
building a personal connection with somebody that's like gonna have a vested interest in you and your project.
absolutely.
So I think that like that this goes back to creating, you know DMing your favorite artist, DMing disco lines, I love your song, isn't, the quite the level of support. I think as artists, like, we understand that, like, support means different things. Some people can say, "Hey, good job, nice song. I listen to your song." That means something. But like the person that comes to your set and they're at every set, dude, we all have those like people that come to every single set. They make sure they're there. Dude, I don't care who you are. I'm gonna go say hello to those people first before I say hello to you because those are the homies. They show up and they support in a different way. So, just it's like it's the effort that you put into other people is the effort, you kind of you'll get back.
Absolutely. Like I feel so I've been producing for over 10 years now. I've been at it for a while. And back when I started, I was trying to learn and figure out Ableton. The tutorials on YouTube were so limited. You had like three people that were like giving quality tutorial advice, and that was it. Versus now, everybody has a like a tutorial channel. Everybody's giving advice, and there's no right way to do it. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
everybody.
dude, there's so many tutorials like these day one at producing and able day one in Serum. And I'm like, why are we watching day one? Why are we watching? And it's cool, I guess, because they're figuring it out and you get to figure, but like invest the $5, $10 a month in your favorite DJ and go like a little bit goes a long way. Like you
Mhm.
don't have to there's a variety. I've done a variety of things. I've done a variety of different mentorship programs. I've, done a lump sum mentorship where I'm in this mentorship. We do group calls on Wednesday and Monday for an hour. We do project feedback. We're doing an in-person retreat. It's very much involved. Like I'm not near as involved as for as much as I paid. I need to be more involved. There's one mentorship that I'm involved in. It's like a monthly mentorship that I pay for, and we do a monthly call. And then like I come to a show or two, and like it's he really helps me out with networking. There's other mentorships that I'm in where it's very much more relaxed. Like one of my favorite, my boy Papa J, dude, huge fan of his project. you know we'll just hop on. I'm on his Patreon, so we hop on our little call, but then we just end up talking and hanging out. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to Denver in a couple weeks, and I'm just going to link with him, and I'm
Nice.
gonna go to he's opening for Dennett. I'm gonna go out there, and him and Dub V, so I'm gonna go link with the homies. And this is based off like, and we're only homies because like just on his Patreon, and we just like hop
Mhm.
on and talk about weird noises we like. It's really like it's very organic, and I think that it boils down to like just you can tell who's in it for love of the game.
I definitely agree. And like I've been getting into Patreon more recently because I noticed the same thing. Like, why would you go to random YouTube tutorials or like whatever when you could support an artist that you care about, that you like their stuff, and you can learn from the source and build a connection and like a relationship, like you said.
The other
Huge.
thing that I'll say that's huge, and I think this is going to be kind of like the future with AI, like we all know that the secret's out, content's the way to make it. Now everyone's making content. Now people that aren't even good at DJing or music or content creators are just making content about DJing. There's so
Mm.
much content being created. AI is now making so much content that like I think it's less content, like, and there's so much stuff being pushed out. Dude, there's people that I will like I love that I won't see their stuff for 6 months on Instagram to like
Yeah.
talk into my phone or I type, and then the algorithm goes, "Oh no, we got to show them this person." But like when I hop on Patreon, it's who I paid for in order, and it's only those people, and it's only knowledge. It's only and like I can scroll down and read every post and enjoy it. It's like what Facebook was supposed to be, in
Yeah.
2012 or whatever.
And like your content, your social media, you've gotten some traction. What do you think is the key? 'Cause, like especially going into 2026, I mean
Do
stuff.
you think I have traction?
Dude, you're getting engagement for sure.
I
Like
don't know. I feel like I'm not traction.
no, I think so. And but like I think that like your brand is authenticity. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that you're posting, whether it's like a feed or a reel or like something on your story. Like just last night, you were just in the studio, like took a quick video of with like your buddies. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
authentic. It makes you feel like you're in the room. And a lot of these like content creators are trying to make it bigger than it is before they're there, if that makes sense. But I feel like the journey and being authentic in the process is what's going to help you get there as a creative. What do you think?
Well, I think that when I got this mentorship, I started taking my career a lot more seriously last March. Over that summer, I like tried to create content and like I suck at it because I'm not good because like you're not good at anything that you don't do.
Mm,
Um, like before, like I said, when I started in August, one thing I did do was I made a point to hire photographers when I went and played places. And like I saw a Kanye documentary, shout out Kanye for the inspiration. I saw his documentary that got released on Netflix a while back. And it was like he had footage from way before he was famous. And like in the footage before he was famous, he was like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make this. I have this dream. Here's my vision. I'm gonna work as hard as I have to get it here. And I've like always had that mentality with music. I've just like I said, maybe it was delusion at first, and now I've just been to put too much work into the bit. I'm committed. I'm gonna make it. I know I am. I'm not, worried about it. I don't care how long it takes or how I have to work. I'm gonna do that.
Mm,
Um, and so when I saw this documentary, he had done this thing where he had always like documented his journey. So I decided like I wanted to document my journey. And so like I had, I played 4 days a week. I had content to post. I just posted like where I was playing, what I was doing. And then kind of realized like in order to build a community, you have to talk about things that like find out who your community is, who likes your vibe, why do they like it? What do you guys relate? What are issues that are and things that are important to you that, come out in your art that you kind of tie into your persona. And so I started experimenting over the summer and with some different content types and like I don't know, I just like now I still don't know. I just post. I still struggle to come up with stuff to post, but I guess now like I just try to post like my journey and making music and learning how to do this because like I think that if a banjo player can be a DJ, like somebody who's actually good at software and like knows half a bit about a computer or how software works would have it way easier and like have way more so like I don't know like I think that if I can do it anybody can do it like I guess that's the message.
for sure. And like being committed is huge. Like for me, for example, I got out of school and then opened up a studio and just went straight into DJing and just have done that full time since then because I didn't give myself like a plan B. There was no like escape route. I was like, I have to make this work or
Yeah.
I'm screwed. You know what I mean? So like that's kind of how I went at it. Um, and now I'm kind of like branching out, trying to do more stuff like this just for fun. But just different avenues. You know what I mean? Because there's so much that you can do within music and entertainment. Um, which kind of brings me to your Doghouse Productions. How did that get started?
um Dude, Doghouse Productions was originally like just a group of friends like I said when I moved to Athens 3 years ago there was no house music. Everybody played rap.
Hmm.
Guy that taught me to DJ moved here and he just started like DJing house music, like house rap mashups before they were like popular, like this is in 2021, 2022, like COVID and after. Like house music quite hadn't caught on with college kids yet, but he went in there with some bad bougie house rap. People were like, oh, I like this. And he was kind of on the forefront. And we just, I don't know, he found my one of my previous roommates, Automatic Odd.
Mm.
We moved
Ryan,
together. Yeah, we lived
shout out.
together. We lived together for several years. Then I don't know, we found Henny. Shout out my boy Henny. We just kind of like started all hanging out and DJing together. Like if one of us had like we all DJ'd enough where we all had gigs on the same day, so we just kind of like pop by and go, B2B for a little bit, see what's up, support each other, give each other gigs. Um, and then I don't know. I guess like there was like one night we all were we were all shit faced. We decided like we're calling it Doghouse Productions, or Doghouse, or it was just Doghouse at first. It was just
Mm.
like a collective, Doghouse Collective, whatever.
Mm.
And then I was like, well, dude, with our talent and everything that we have here, I feel like we all have enough motion. We're the only DJs in Athens. We DJ all the fraternity events. We open for all the people that come to town. We play for all the bars. Feel like we should like do our own shows. We should do our
Mm.
own stuff. So yeah, I took Doghouse Productions and I started with the breakaway events. I got main stage. for Breakaway ATL. Um, I was, I played the silent disco. You played the silent disco. We just kind of like felt like we kind of started the handle. We had a handle on the DJ market and kind of started the whole EDM thing. Like we were kind of the guys that first ever played EDM when people were like, "Ew, dude!" Like we played dubstep and people were like, "What is this?" And now like Avello, Papa J, and Sport Mode were at a frat a couple weeks or like 2 months ago, and I was hanging out with them, and it was a bunch of frat boys in the basement listening to Avello rip rhythm with Sport Mode, ripping some trap, and Papa J was ripping his dubstep, and I was just like, this is so beautiful, but this is crazy. This wasn't like this 3 years ago, and
Absolutely.
I know it's gotten more popular, but I really would like to think that we collectively had a hand in kind of bringing that to Athens and being the forefront and kind of the, proponents of like, I've worked with Up and Up here
Mm.
for several events and just, anything that's EDM related. We do the bookings for the bars. We play for the fraternities. So like we just kind of all try to work together to, make EDM more mainstream.
Again, it's that community thing. Like, I mean, a rising tide lifts all boats. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's what it's about. It's easier done as a team than by yourself. Um, and it's so funny you bring up like that EDM wasn't that big a few years ago. I feel the same way because I started DJing in Milledgeville, which isn't like an hour from Athens. But when I was DJing, it was a lot of like open format. Everybody wanted rap. I wanted to play house at the time, so I would like sneak it in like the last hour of the set or whatever and just do remixes and stuff. And now I'm dropping crazy stuff like when I play in town. Like it's like I'm playing dubstep, I'm playing like hard stuff that like you wouldn't imagine. But like as long as you keep it like a remix, they can still sing along to it. They
As
can
long as they know the words to it.
it's crazy. And like I don't know, even in like that college community, it has definitely come a long way. When like you and me know that it's like a much bigger scene in other places. You know what I mean? Like you go out to wherever, LA, Arizona, like much
Well,
bigger.
I think that like also when you talk about like it is a small community, like
Mm,
here's a good example. I sold this kid, he was a Flex 4 Demon. I sold him a DDJ 1000 a year and a half ago, and he couldn't get into the bar that I was playing. He couldn't get into this bar, and I was like, dude, you should go play at this other bar.
mm.
I think that it's kind of like a more crowd suited towards you. I think they like house. Honestly, I said you should be in charge of booking. Go do that, take that, do your thing. So he did. That was kind of his thing. He ran that shit for like a year. Then he downloaded Ableton. He started producing. Currently, his tracks are getting played by Matroda, Sam Poncho. Like he's still here. He's still doing his thing. But like when we talk about taking your career seriously, and it's a small community, you can still with the internet here and like the way if you do your career the correct way and you're not working in person, but also you have an online presence
Mm.
and you're just reaching out to people online. That's how it happens. Like it is like it starts small too. Grizz, big as he is now, like he's has got his own festival now that he just started.
Hmm.
He playing, the first couple years playing bar gigs and playing the circuit. Everyone kind of started. James Hype talks about like he played for 10 years before to get where he's at now. It's very much that slow build, but like I don't know. It is a small community.
Everybody starts somewhere, man. Like it's about getting momentum, just getting the ball rolling. Once you get started, it's a lot easier. It's that first step of just like start doing it. You know what I mean? I preach that to people who are getting started because I talk to guys that are in frats like wanting to get into DJing, and I'm like, dude, just do it. Like buy whatever an FLX4, whatever you need. Just get started. Get your feet wet, and then go from there. And it snowballs
And
the more you do it.
you can give people tips. You really do have to have your 10,000 hours because it has to be a genuinely, it's an artist thing. You have to figure out what you want, what you
Mm.
like, how to convey that, like that. It has to be a, kind of personal. Like there's really no way short of like doing it other than doing it.
Absolutely. Question for you. I know you've been in Athens. You're also in Atlanta a good bit. How do you think those scenes differ? Because I know Athens is very college oriented versus Atlanta. You got a little bit of everything.
Dude, it's crazy. I opened for Goodfella at Georgia Tech 2 or 3 months ago.
Mm.
And Georgia Tech's in the middle of Atlanta. Uh they were line dancing, country line dancing to house music. I'll put it that way. They were asking for a little baby. It's just, I play in Clemson, I play in South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina, Augusta, Athens. I played in states where like I played 10 different cities. Every city has its own flavor, especially with these college towns. You're dealing with music with kids that, it's the forefront of what's most popular with these 18 to 20-year-old. I saw this TikTok the other day that said someone playing something in 2000 or a 1980 song when we were kids in 2000 was like us playing Soldier Boy now in 2020 because it's the same time span. Like imagine it's like DJs are playing really out of touch music. There's
Mm.
these kids won't what's the forefront, I guess, of what's most popular in these college environments. And I don't know. Yeah, it's very different each place, 100%. Atlanta, even though it has a house scene, I guess a little bit of a bass scene,
Mm.
it is capital of hip hop in its true form. Like I mean, they do some cool. Def does some really cool stuff there.
Def
Um,
is sick.
I've been to the Coca-Cola Roxy, had some cool
Mm.
stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of the sound system and Believe. I just hate how it sounds in there, to be honest.
Mm.
Never had a bad experience in the venue other than it just sounds like shit every time I'm in there. The Eastern's cool. I like the
Mm.
basement. The upstairs got like split. I saw Hall there. Like I've seen a lot of bass heavy shows there.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that like I don't know. I want to move to Denver or Florida. I'm traveling to Denver and I'm gonna be in Florida too. I want to go to somewhere where like people genuinely love the music. If I want to
Mhm.
work, we do get to choose these things in life. We are in control. Where do you live? What do you do for work? If I've chosen what I want to do for work, I'm just gonna go somewhere where like I'm not fighting, what I want to do. So I think that I'll always keep my foot here. I plan to keep, Doghouse Productions active
Mm.
here, still doing events, still working with, keeping the EDM scene alive here. But yeah, I mean, I see myself, probably moving from Athens here
Yeah.
soon.
You at some point you kind of reach a ceiling too. That's kind of what brought me to Atlanta from Milledgeville because I was kind of like I'm kind of maxing out what I'm doing here. Let me like
Dude,
see what I can do.
I've played the 40 watt.
Hmm.
Nirvana's played there, bro. Like, I mean, there's famous. When I first came to Athens, I never would have thought that I played the 40 watt Georgia Theater Live Bar. Those are the three biggest venues in Athens, and I played
Yeah.
them. And that's like, I don't know. That's like I don't have anything else to do here. I played everywhere, and that's what
Right.
I did in Augusta was I left, and like so I'm going to keep what I have in the background, the doghouse, and I might still come pick up a show here every now and again, but on to the next thing. I got to go, conquer the next step up.
Absolutely. Got to keep it moving. And on that note, what does, for where you're at now, present time, what does a good week look like for you? Are you producing? Are you playing gigs on the weekend? Are you coming up with new ideas?
Yeah, so I built a new schedule for myself for 2026. I kind of try to build it out like a curriculum. I'm
Mm.
very ADHD, so I'm like learning how to trying to manage my time better, be more aware of my time, efficient with it. I do produce just about every day. I tried it, but I've also realized you can't do everything every day. You have to break up things. So like Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday are like my office days. I'm producing, I'm writing, I'm on sending emails, doing stuff like this. Um, maybe linking with a homie in the studio. Thursday through Friday, Saturday are work days for me.
Mm.
I'm out DJing, I'm working on actually like DJing, downloading, listening to new music, building sets. Um, Traveling, I do travel, so I'm traveling in between those days too. So I mean, just travel alone takes up time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then Sunday is kind of like usually it's kind of my recovery day. I try to just like recover on Sunday and then like set myself up for what I want to do on Monday. And that way Monday I can
Mm.
run.
I think we're on very similar schedules in that sense, like the office days and then the weekends being like the work, like DJing kind of thing. It's
Yep.
setting aside time for certain stuff and having a to-do list is very important for me because if not, you kind of spend more time on one thing than you would on something else, or like you miss something or forget like, oh yeah, I had to do this, or like, I got this gig coming up, I had to prep for that. Like having a set like, you know, do this has been really helpful for me.
Yeah, no, my girlfriend has been very good about just making me do things that help me with my ADHD, writing
Mm,
list, putting stuff in my calendar. I mean, I started using a paper calendar last year. Like I've had one for the last 2 years, but like last year I like diligently like wrote down every gig, everything. Like man, we've all had those. I mean, I think we've all had those calls where, hey, you're coming tonight, right? And you're like, oh yeah, yeah, for sure. You hop in the car, you pack your shit. I've had like two of those, and I've never missed a gig, but I had two of those scares, and like that's just I hate that shit, man. I hate living in a state of pre-gig anxiety. That's what I call
mm-hmm.
it. Where like, do I have all my chords? Do I have to
Yep.
like something gonna go wrong? Did I prep my set? Like I can't live my life like that. So I had to like get a schedule and like write everything down. And like between my own schedule, traveling to cities, running stuff with Doghouse, producing, reaching out to individual frats and like, all the different, I do a couple like weddings a year just for some extra
Mm,
money. My friends are getting married. I was like, oh, dude, you're my friend. I would love to DJ your wedding. Wow, this is gonna be so much fun. Um, you need to like definitely have a system to keep track of that.
for
100%.
sure. And like the other side of that is like if you have a schedule, say you have something like yesterday, I had something at 3 p.m. and something at 8 p.m. During that like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. window, it's hard for me to like I have to stay busy, otherwise I go into like waiting mode and I'm like just
No, dude,
sitting
that's what
around like
I got this year. I didn't even get a day. I didn't even get a day calendar. I got a like a day by day, and it's like 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. And then it's got a space for like after hours. But like that way, I don't get in waiting mode, and that way, I block things out in 30 minutes. If I just want to hop on my phone for a little bit, or you know, watch a show and eat, like I have like an hour cut out for lunch. I'm gonna throw a little show on, maybe a tutorial. I'm gonna eat a sandwich and scroll on my phone and like take a break. And like you can't. It's all about balance too. I'm
yeah,
very about that. I like want to do everything all at once.
for sure.
But yeah, it's very much about balance because like you're balancing the business side, you're balancing the music, the creative side. Taking care of yourself as a person.
Hmm.
Don't forget how to do that.
There's a lot. And like I don't know, seeing it as a business too is something that a lot of people is holding people back if they don't see it as a business. If they're just doing it for fun, like you got to think of it like if you want to grow this, you got to kind of be strategic, and think long term. Um, so let me ask you, long term, the next few years, where do you see your project going? What are your goals and the steps that you want to make to get there?
Um, well, this year is really about being strategic with my time, also with what I do. While I am trying to post more content, I am trying to like up the quality of like the art that I create and in what I'm doing, be more intentional. Um, so definitely putting music out. I started consistently putting stuff out on SoundCloud in December of last year. And so I just hit 30 days and like I got like 9K streams on SoundCloud. It's not
Let's
a bad
go.
first month. Like looking at that and building on that, I think that looking like getting 100,000 streams, very reasonable.
Mm,
Um, I have, like I said, a lot of people in the music community and industry that have been my mentors that have bigger projects that have, I feel like I have good. They like my ideas. Obviously, I need a lot more time, like on the sound design and some stuff, and um, overall, like the producing side. But like, I want to collab with some of my mentors. I want to collab with some of my friends. Like, I genuinely just want to put out a lot of music. And I think that because I already play as much and I have the experience. I have like four residencies. I have the production company. I'm gonna, over the summer, I'm already applying to, some other places. I've got my eye on some other places, like travel to a couple of new states, play some out of state spots. I think that with some music numbers, and then as you can kind of gauge where your fans are by who listens to your music. Hopefully, with like my industry connections, I can catch some shows in some other
Mm,
cities. So this year's really about like putting a lot of music out, and then I think next year will be about probably touring, playing. Like that's
sweet.
kind of going to be my focus for that. Um, and I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna like set myself short either. Like, I'm shooting for the stars. I would love to go play at a festival. I mean, I think that would be sick. Um, but I want to have my own like bangers out that I can rip.
Yeah, build that portfolio, brother, for sure. It's important. And not to put you on the spot, but I would love to get something cooking for sure. Cause like now
Dude,
that you're getting into
absolutely.
production, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I think we could make something cool for sure. Um, man, okay, so let me hit you with a curveball really quick before we get out of here. Now that we've kind of caught up, been through the whole journey, what is something that you stressed about in the past that now looking back on it, you're like that you're thinking like that didn't really matter. That wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it did in the moment.
Everything.
Valid.
uh, Genuinely, unless you're like at like a famous venue and
Mm,
the people actually give a shit about the music they're listening to, 90% of the time, they won't fucking know. So like don't over stress your job. I like mixing really good. I like being extra because I can. I like practicing for bigger gigs, but like don't over DJ. Enjoy what you do. Like, the crowd. I think that like when I studied under Victor Wooten too and they were playing, they grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, um, playing, they were friends, which they were neighborhood friends with Jimi Hendrix.
mm,
Like he would just come over and jam at their house all night. And so that was back in an age when like people like, Michael Jackson performed, Prince performed when he went, Bruno Mars kind of does that a little bit, but like I think the art of performance has kind of been lost in music a little bit.
yeah.
James Brown was the ultimate performer. Um, it's a show business. It's the music business, show business. So I think that's where like I love what Billy Strings does with he's brought production to bluegrass. He's like
Hmm.
kind of brought in kind of people don't usually have production associated with that. I think that any music needs production. I think that like EDM is definitely the forefront of production in music, but I think that artists now like are realizing you can get Touch Designer and make cool graphics with like an Xbox 360 Connect. Like there's like so much more. There's such a bigger world you can build now with technology for your music and your project that people I guess didn't have the opportunity to
That's
before.
huge. Shout
Um,
out Touch Designer really quick because
yeah, for real.
I use that. I like to make my own visuals and stuff. Like when we do the
Yeah.
big production shows, we'll bring out our LED wall and like it'll be all my
Well,
visuals.
I'm,
It's
I'm, it's in the download list, so I'll be hitting up shortly for some sauce.
dude, there it's if you think Ableton is a steep learning curve, Touch Designer is insane. But I'm like just letting you know because I
All
was
right.
basically I've talked about this before, but like during COVID I lost all my gigs, so I was like, what do I do? And I started making my own visuals and like programming lights. I did all that through Touch Designer. So I
Okay.
like delved deep into it. It's crazy. And like I've been able to sell lighting programs to clubs now, so like they're running our software that runs through Touch Designer.
Oh, nice.
um it's insane, like the amount of stuff you can do with it, but like it's so overwhelming, especially when you're just getting started.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to help out with that for sure. um Bro, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know we've been talking for a good while here. I think we covered just about everything? Is there anything else that we haven't touched on?
No, man, I think that was pretty much everything.
Sweet. Well, where can people find you? Where can they go check you out? Where do you have your stuff?
I have a SoundCloud. It's Banjo MP3. So you can find me on all socials and music platforms on yeah, Banjo MP3.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Again, I think you have a really cool story. I'm excited for people to hear this. And we're going to get something cooking this year for sure. I would love to.
All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your time.